When Donald Trump told congresswomen of color to go back to their crime-infested countries, what was he trying to communicate there?
He didn't say that. He said go back to where you
He
came
definitely
from.
did say that.
No, he didn't say go back to your country.
They're in here pushing
go
that.
back to where you came from.
Kamala covertly says, I want my opponent locked up. That is
The
bad,
Republicans are more openly divisive.
No,
That's your
okay,
stance. Is
okay,
Republicans are
over
more
to-
openly divisive.
No.
Over to
Democrats
sorry.
are openly
You got it.
The other
divisive.
side.
Stop.
They're the ones sowing division.
Dylan, thank you, Dylan.
I'm gonna mass mute. I'm mass muting.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Dylan.
Fan.
All right, thank you, Dylan. Appreciate that.
Hello, Connor. How are you doing?
I am beautiful. How are you?
I am quite well. Are you excited for tonight, Connor?
I'm ecstatic. I'm not going to lie. I'm mostly ecstatic because I tried to do this for a couple of months and it was impossible. So I'm happy the king is back, basically.
Man, I gotta say, out of all the people, when we were doing Hippy Dippy, when we lost the slot, I don't know if you remember, but within 24 hours, people were like, when we lost the 6 p.m. slot back in the day when we finally shut down the show, immediately, boom, 6 p.m. slots. There were like 2 news shows that tried to grab the Friday 6 p.m. slot because it was such just primo slot, just a primo slot at the time, as everybody wanted that in the Twitch poll space.
Everybody thought it was easy. They thought that you could show up, get 6 to 8 people on a show, get them to argue for you, collect super chats. They thought it was easy. They didn't know how big of a pain booking actually was.
But when you were going to do one of those shows, because you care about the Twitch poll space, you've always cared about the Twitch poll space, you actually approached me and you did almost like a Hippy Dippy hybrid knockoff. Like you made like one of those like Chinese Jordans of like Hippy Dippy, and it was great and I loved it.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we did the heated hippie. We used to book with controversial booker Samantha Banana. But the truth is that nobody can replace Danabo. He is the capybara of the Twitch and YouTube political sphere. He seems to get along with everybody. And, it's tough, dealing with different personalities that are always fighting each other, getting into drama. This person's not talking to this person anymore. This person's not talking to that person anymore. It's a lot.
It is absolutely a lot. And, booking these shows always comes with complications. Last minute cancellations, or people who just feud with other people, or people like giving well, if I'm going to be on X, Y, and Z, needs to be the thing that's in place. And I saw a lot of shows just running into the same problems that we ran into, because I could just see the conditions at the time. There were not a lot of big new rising stars in the space. A lot of the people who were stars in the space were kind of sick of going on the panels. The panels were having the same people on over and over and over again. And I could see the stagnation in the environment for people who either wanted change that was not possible because there was just not the guests that we could get on to make that change possible. And I didn't have the time investment because I had just gone into a war zone. And so I'm happy that I'm back again. In a time where, Piers Morgan's show is doing great because people want these conversations right now.
He stole your formula.
He took my formula by the legs and he made big on Talk TV. Made big on Talk TV.
Yeah, Piers Morgan and I are not mutuals on Twitter. However, I did tag him in his post and I said, "You son of a biscuit, you stole Dylan Burns' show formula and you ran with it." Now, unfortunately, because just because he has access to, I don't know, maybe he's like a B-list or C-list celebrity with his own news program that has hundreds of thousands or millions of eyeballs on it, he was able to get people like Hassan Piker or Destiny or other large contributors, Tommy Lauren. But you know what the truth is? When I watched some of those segments, I was like, these people would get murdered on Twitch and YouTube politics because they don't come prepared, they don't come researched, they don't back their points, they're not particularly rhetorically gifted. I think half of them need a teleprompter in order to function. So I was actually like, it's funny how much crap these people are getting away with because they would get slaughtered on classic YouTube and Twitch debate politics scene. Especially
when in the more extended environment. Like now tonight, it's an hour and a half. People are going to have it easy tonight. Our guests tonight have it easy. Yeah. These new guests don't know what it was like back in the day, okay? These guests have to be on for an hour and a half. The Hippy Dippy Roundtable was 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours, 3 topics back to back to back. It would often go 4, in some instances, even 4.5 hours. And in these long form conversations, even though obviously the vast majority of content creators would not sign up to be in that environment, you get to see people really crack under pressure when they make the same fallacies again and again and again. Make the same mistakes again and again and again. In that extended environment, you can really you really sometimes expose yourself. And I think that was what made it so authentic and why a lot of people liked it. But this time it's going to be a little shorter, but it's still an hour and a half, which is a lot more than the 20 minutes you're going to get on Fox News, if you can get that. So I hope we get to hear a lot from our guests today. What do you think about the lineup?
No, I mean, some of these names I recognize. Some of these people are from the old school. Some of these people are a little bit new school. Rashad, for instance, I bumped into him on a couple of panels. I think he's a talent. Sunday infuriates me to no end, but at the same time, if you want to credit him where it's due, he's a good smack talker. Lecture fan, classic guy from the debate scene. Kevin Logan, also a good.
By the way,
left-wing
lecture
smack
fan
talker.
just unbanned right in time after an unfair suspension. We brought attention to it. Happy to see him unbanned.
Well, and isn't that kind of beautiful that even though these people are on different aspects of the YouTube and Twitch political sphere or whatever, when you build up that camaraderie of being in the trenches together for so long, having people in your corner who can advocate for you, especially in bans and suspensions, that's huge. Jeb Tan, I'm a huge fan of personally. I think he's a decent dude, and we share a lot in common, even though he's more conservative than I am. And then Hake, of course, has brought us some of the craziest moments in Twitch and YouTube politics. So, classic memes all around.
Man, so I do want to say, and Kevin Logan, welcome to today's show.
Blesses us with his presence.
I appreciate you coming on. What do you think about Hippy Dippy being back as a old Hippy Dippy veteran?
Honestly, I think it's the death of Western civilization. It's the end of everything. American democracy was already on its last legs, and this will kill it off, I think. Finally, once and for all. And I'm here for it,
Wait, so are you hoping to capitalize on this as a commonwealther and have like the United Kingdom like take its rightful place as the masters of America?
Yeah, honestly, you've been waiting for, the best part of 250 years to come back into the warm embrace of Mother England. So it's good that you've finally realised this and brought back the angel of death, Dylan Burns, to kill off your republic.
Okay, so I do want to ask you guys about the first debate we're going to be having tonight, because it's going to be a classic 4v4. And I know both of you guys are veterans of the 4v4 arena. And let me read out a list of the guests we're going to be having on tonight for everybody who is watching live and doesn't know who we're having on. The Hake Report, Jeb Tan, Lecture Fan, the More Perfect Union, Loner Box.
Are you gonna have anyone? Are you gonna have anyone on with a fucking brain cell? What the fuck? Those four first names, Jesus.
Yes. Richard Spencer. No. Loner Box, President Sunday, Adam Mockler, and Cowboy Crenshaw. And they're going to be debating all together. Why are we so divided, and how do we mend those divides? We're going to have Hake and President Sunday heal America. How are we going to figure that out tonight?
Adam. So Adam's the key player here. He hasn't been, I don't think he's been a big part of the debate scene at all. He kind of came up on his own shtick. But honestly, he's like he's the guy who goes out to MAGA debates and debates people and asks them Socratic questions in order to get them where they want to go. If you're going to have any communication between either side tonight, it's probably going to come through Adam.
I think it's just, as with all internet debates, an opportunity for idiots to slap each other. And that's eminently watchable. I mean, that's presumably why I've been brought on, is to just say dumb things, and that's fine. We've all got a role to play. It's gorgeous.
I was gonna say, listen, there are beautiful Hippy Dippy moments that we can probably all remember. Hake had some beautiful Hippy Dippy moments. We had Joe Lewis, who I do like, by the way. I'm not talking smack, but where he told an Asian man that he was white coded. There's all sorts of
Xander,
crazy things.
The famous Xander Hall betrayal when he's thrown off the cliff like Mufasa.
Yeah, there's all sorts of beautiful moments that happen in a heated panel. Shoe on Head betraying Vosh in a debate in order to make a joke that came at the left wing's expense. That was another beautiful moment that I was both present for as a fan and as a debater. And you can only really have those moments in a live debate format.
There was also, of course, the big Hippy Dippy drama over the belt. Everybody remembers the Demon Mama.
Classic.
Oh my gosh, Vadim, Destiny. Like, oh my god, I was so messy, so everywhere. And then the big hero at the end of the day, critically thinking veteran, coming and taking the belt from the mall. There's so many people watching right now. I know none of this lore. What does any of this mean for me? And so let's boil it down to the bare essentials before we move on to these debates. You both have been in 4v4s before, but it's not like the old 3.5 hour ones. Okay, these new debaters got it good. It's only gonna be an hour and a half on today's topics with 2-minute intros. You guys have been in that format before. What's the thing things that people today, the debaters themselves who haven't, what do they have to look out for? Like Crenshaw, I mean, he's new to this. Crenshaw is completely new. What advice would you give someone like him?
Scream over people. Just scream over each other.
No,
that's what you should do.
I think we're gonna give our first
advice.
ban of the night. Kevin Logan. No, none of that. We're Law and Order here. We're Law and Order.
Okay. Actual advice for up and coming debaters, people who are maybe welcoming back the scene and want to participate. I did the moderating thing for a couple of months. Jump in, make your points, jump out, right? Use a sticky note, write down your topics. That way you can track what you're saying and get it out as quickly as possible. That's going to be like a main thing, especially with a crunched in timeline. That is going to be a major thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Don't love the sound of your own fucking voice. Make your point and fucking
clear and concise is always the main piece of advice I give people, because people start to ramble. They want to get every single detail in, and I do that all the time on Ukraine, because I've just, you know so much about a topic, you care so much about a topic, but that can be your own worst enemy. Clear and concise for both, not only the people, not out of respect only for the people you're talking to, but also people in the audience.
Well, exactly. Make your points clear, right? So just come on and say Putin was absolutely right. But
the truth is, the best moments in live debate are also clippable. So they're gonna be less than a minute, really heated, clear, concise, understandable by a lay audience, all that kind of stuff. So if you go into a giga I don't know, academic rant about some paper that you read 2 years ago and it takes 5 minutes for you to shut up, even people who are on your side will eventually tune you out.
Yeah. Also, fuck Putin. I was joking. But yeah, be concise. Be concise and just make your point and shut the fuck up,
Absolutely. And so without further ado, we're going to transition over to the debate. Any last words, any last thoughts from anyone?
Transitioning means you've gone woke. Fact.
Oh, our show's already biased.
Jump in, make your hits, jump out.
Clear and okay, like a U.S. Marine. Hoorah. Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome, everybody, to the official relaunch of the Hippy Dippy Roundtable after a 2-year hiatus, so I could be on the ground covering the war in Ukraine. I'm still going to continue to do that, of course, but now I'm going to host these bi-monthly in order to, well, actually every month, in order to, add some more conversation with the election right around the corner. I think the format has a lot of interest now. Piers Morgan is grabbing the format by the horns and dragging it around on Talk TV. And so I'm interested to get back into the game, and these fine people are here to get back into the game with me. And today they're going to be debating why America is so divided and how we mend those divides. I thought of this topic right after the Trump assassination, and while that has gotten out of the news, well, I guess pretty quickly with how fast the news has developed, the divides are still there. Division is still a big issue in the United States. And so I'm going to go around.
And so naturally you invited a Canadian and a guy from the UK.
Absolutely. We need foreigners to help out for their foreign perspectives. Thank you for being our token foreigners. Now, we're going to debate these issues, but first, I want to make sure we go around and have everybody introduce themselves, brief, 30 seconds, and then we'll move into introductions, and then it will be a general free-for-all. But please do bear in mind that do not barrel over people. If you do, I will mute you, and I don't hold it against personally anyone, but I'm a Law and Order guy. I'm blue line when it comes to moderation 100%, and I want you guys to make sure that we have a good debate environment where nobody gets boxed out. And keep it short and punchy is my only piece of advice today, because if you don't, you're gonna ramble and then you'll take everybody else's time. Okay, you guys ready? Fantastic. So we're going to start with Adam Mockler. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Adam Mockler. I work for a company called Midas Touch, one of the largest liberal organizations. I do on the ground stuff. I've been to a lot of MAGA rallies. I'm excited to chat with you guys. Thanks for hosting this, Dylan. And I hope we can have a cool chat about this and it's not too heated. But yeah.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to throw it over to Hake.
Hey guys, I'm James Hake, host of the Hake Report, live Monday through Friday. And I take your calls, so feel free to call in. I'm on Jesse Lee Peterson's network.
Fantastic. I'm going to now throw it over to Jebtan.
Jebtan, small government conservative, pretty much just online for the sake of doing debate panels because I'm a degenerate.
Fantastic. Aren't we all? Lecture fan.
Thank you. I'm Lecture Fan. I've been doing conservative politics on Twitch since November 2013. I'm a guest host on Montana's leading statewide AM talk radio show, Montana Talks. I'm a commercial litigation attorney. I'm a partner at a full-service law firm, and I love debating politics and keeping everybody informed of the truth. And yeah, that's why we're here. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dylan.
Happy to have you back, and happy for you to be unbanned on Twitch. And now I'll throw it over to Lonerbox.
Hey, I'm Lonerbox. I'm a Scottish YouTuber. I make videos talking about politics. My country is actually quite chill and politically sane, so I like interfering with other countries instead.
Fantastic. You're really good at that, actually. Now I'm going to throw that over to President Sunday.
Hi, I'm President Sunday. You can find me on YouTube under that name, and everything Lonerbox said about the UK is a lie.
Okay, and now we're going to throw it over to Crenshaw.
My name is Rashad Crenshaw. I'm a liberal commentator, and I'm just happy to be here and debate with you guys.
Fantastic. First time on a Hippy Dippy, and happy to have you here. We're going to throw it over to More Perfect Union.
Yeah, no, check it out. Thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate being able to be the backup fill-in for whoever didn't show up. I appreciate it. Dylan, I've done a lot of these things with you guys, with you over the years. Conservative, constitutional conservative podcaster, the More Perfect Union on Twitch and a variety of other places. I'm currently a homeless vet. I'm a vet, a United States Veteran Submarine Service. I'm currently homeless because I'm going through a little bit of a situation. That's why I'm talking to you live from my pickup truck. And I'm looking forward very much to talking about this, because while I understand that political parties can have their differences, I think the divide is abnormally wider than it has ever been. And I think it's a danger to the safety of the Republic of the United States. And I would love to see somebody on the left side of this argument talk about ways that we can bring her back closer to the center.
Okay. Well, I think that was almost an intro, too. But we're now going to do intros into the topic, and we're going to have 1 minute to 2 minutes. Try to keep it short and snappy and be considerate of the time that we are on a schedule, and there are a lot of you. And so we're going to start.
Pick me first, and then I will just pass because I essentially did my intro.
Sure. Okay. There you go. Oh, I thought you were going to go.
Well, he said he's passing.
Oh, you're passing.
You should be required to sing us a song.
Okay.
Yeah. Next.
Okay, fantastic. Then we'll just go to Crenshaw.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the right's more divisive. The end.
Okay, fair enough. Now we're going to go over to President Sunday.
Oh, well, I wrote a whole thing, and now it looks stupid because I put effort into this. Okay, I think that the question posed to this panel contains a false premise, that our political dividedness is a problem to be solved. I disagree. And while talking points like we need to heal the divisions in this country or we need to bring our country together are almost ubiquitous, they onboard an assumption that I think is not only wrong, but masks the real problem behind a more superficial one. And that assumption is that we are more divided than ever before. I don't think we are. In fact, not only do I think we have never been less divided, that this is so is itself the cause of the intensification of political hatred that I think motivates the question of dividedness in the first place. It is because we are so united on what the problems are, the stakes, the timelines, and the solutions available to us that everything so quickly boils down to a zero-sum game in which there is no air for compromise, even between those who can only watch and comment. Let them be cakes is no longer a viable answer even for those with power. The whole world is at stake for all of us. Petty alliances based on class, culture, religion, etc. have increasingly little solidity to them compared to the existential question of who's going to be elected to hold the questions of whether basic freedoms, equality, and even the habitability of our planet will be preserved or destroyed in their hands, and this is so for both the right and the left. And this makes us crazy, especially for those of us, like on this panel, when we take a wage and build a reputation based upon whether people view us as allies in the bigger struggle or not. So that we have very strong incentives to be obstinate and to not even let ourselves treat each other reasonably. I'm sure some of us remember Rob Knorr telling us how the fictitious General Alden's plan for pulling out the troops could have saved lives. This isn't because Rob is stupid, although he is also this. This is because Rob is invested. This is a funny example, but this kind of thing happens all the time in more subtle ways. In some, far from dividedness being a problem, what we are really entrapped by is our unity, the totalizing attitude it engenders, and whether conceived in terms of party, nation, class, race, etc., how it commits us all addictively to a death spiral in which no real communication or compromise can be risked. Thank you.
Okay, just on the 2-minute mark, basically. Now we're going to throw it over to Lonerbox.
I don't personally think divisions are inherently a bad thing. I'd imagine if you live in a democracy, or in this case, a constitutional federal republic, divisions are probably a good thing. It's good to disagree on things, and that helps people to hone their positions and find ultimately like somewhere that actually yields the best results for most of society. So I think the problem is what you have now is more like polarization, where you have, with no help from the internet, groups able to have their very comforting worldviews that they can just kind of give them little prescriptions and how to, and like immediate and short answers to every single issue in the world, so that you can just, basically what you're going to think about any particular issue before you've even started looking into it. And then you just work backwards and find all the information from whatever camp you're in that helps reinforce that belief that you were always going to have anyway, based on which camp you've chosen to be in. I would say both sides are to blame for this in a little bit when it comes to extremes, but the fact is the Democrats, for the most part, kept their crazies out. They have mostly rejected the insane wishes of the very, very far left in America, whereas the Republican Party is completely taken over by the likes of Donald Trump. Still, you have 70% of Republicans who think the last election was stolen. Divisiveness is that people complain about is generally their fault. Yeah.
Okay.
Wishes like don't kill kids.
We're gonna throw it over to Lecture Fan.
I think the obvious answer to why we're more divided now is because society has changed, and the question is, how has society changed over time? And I think the obvious answer to how society has changed, and you can see this in all the data, is less and less people are in traditional families, less and less people go to church on Sundays, less and less people are involved in community organizations. And a lot of societies change like that over time. As societies get more mature and as societies get more wealthy, people naturally turn away from God, turn away from Jesus Christ, and turn away from a true spiritual understanding of the world, and start to replace that with communism, with Nazism, all these other ideologies. And what we've seen in the United States and around the world with the global left going hardcore atheist and then trying to replace their spiritual emptiness and trying to get spiritual fulfillment from things like global warming, trying to stop man-made global warming. And then it leads to these extreme positions from the left, and you're seeing it from the Democrats in the United States. They take these hardcore, radical, extreme positions, especially like, putting men and women's sports or transgender issues, all these sorts of things that are causing a lot of us that are basically still traditional believers that to be like, whoa, this is absolutely insane. And that's what's causing the division.
He got it.
Okay, we're going to throw it over now to Jebtan.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Loner and President Sunday on that core point of political divisions aren't our problem. Political divisions are good. Everybody, we should have a divided political atmosphere to avoid, pushing this giant ship that is the United States too quickly in one direction before we can, make up for generational gaps in belief systems. And we don't want to push the Overton window too much based on one generation when the next generation might not agree. The issue is personal divides. And I think there is a fundamental profit motive in the media to divide on both sides. I think they have perfected systems through social media and traditional media even to get people to tune in by saying the other side is going to destroy the world. They're going to do it immediately. And if they get power for even a second, the world is going to get destroyed. Luckily for us, we've had 2 terms in the past 8 years, one from each party. Neither of them destroyed the world. Both of them, under Trump, people's lives were generally good. Economy was generally good. Under Biden, the economy sucked mostly because of COVID. And though I do have qualms with how Biden dealt with it, it recovered pretty okay. One of the issues is the reason why I resent the idea that it's just the GOP causing the personal division all the time is because we had 8 years of the GOP trying to work against this profit motive. We had McCain and Romney both attacking birthers in their own party, attacking people who wanted to do this sort of alarmism. And they lost their elections, while guys like Barack Obama and Joe Biden saying things like Mitt Romney wants to put black people back in chains, completely unfounded, they won their elections. And so we had a natural snapback of the GOP realizing there is a game being played that if we refuse to play, we are going to lose every election and we're going to lose it powerfully. And so Trump came in and went whole hog in the wrong direction, which was acquiescing to the poisonous game we're playing. And the Democrats have now clapped back and are doing the same thing. And so we just have this increasing personal divide, not political divide, caused by that profit motive.
Okay, now we're going to throw it over to Hake. Also, Jeb, your camera is frozen in a very unflattering angle. You probably get rid of that.
Yeah, I'll just switch off split cam. Thank you.
I believe in you. I believe in you, Jeb. You'll do good. Okay, throwing it over to Hake.
Thank you. I think the reason that we are so divided is because we've become destructively divided, is because we've become kind of a bunch of women. And shout out to the ladies, shout out to the women.
Thank you.
We
Hick.
love the women, but both the conservatives and the liberals are, like a lot of you guys said, hating one another, unfoundedly thinking that they're better than each other. Trump should be a non-controversial figure. Like everything he says, perfectly reasonable, but he rightly pointed out that there's a lot of anger in this country, and that's really has no place, because anger is what starts violence. Anger is what starts believing crazy things. It's like when you break up with like a girlfriend or a wife, or she's mad at you. There's no reasoning with her. She won't believe you, even when you're being perfectly honest, and it's clear to everybody outside that you're being honest. There is this fake unity of so-called civil rights that both sides kind of acquiesced to. Hate crimes legislation, all these things were very divisive in the pretense of bringing people together. And I agree with Lecture Fan that we got spoiled. And when you get spoiled, you tend to forget God. And I think even the Christians have forgotten God. So it's a mess.
I'm going to throw it over to Adam Mockler to wrap up the intros.
Yeah, so I think you can draw a direct line from Donald Trump's entry into American politics to the division we see today. And I think it was only amplified by social media. We could probably all agree on the social media piece. I don't know about that. But when it comes to Donald Trump, in 2012, his claim to fame in American politics was saying that Barack Obama wasn't born in America. He convinced a large portion of the country Obama wasn't born in America. A decade later, he's boosting Laura Loomer posts about Kamala Harris's birth certificate. But we can go to 2016. Donald Trump had the RNC chanting, "Lock her up." Michael Flynn comes on stage. Michael Flynn leads a "Lock her up" chant. And if conservatives in here are going to try to claim that Donald Trump never said "lock her up," I have the receipt, so I'd be careful with that one. Next, Donald Trump, everything he says is completely divisive. And you compare his "Lock her up" chants to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They had a rally a few weeks ago where the chant started yelling, "Lock him up, lock him up." Kamala Harris said verbatim, "We're going to let the courts handle that. Our job is to beat him in November." So what's the difference between a candidate who's leading the top of the ticket, who says all of the courts are rigged, all of the elections are rigged, the judge is rigged, the judge's daughter, Judge Merchan's daughter is rigged, versus the person who says we're going to let the courts handle that? And Tim Walz, we can look up the video. When the crowd started chanting "Lock her up," Tim Walz calms the crowd down and says, "We don't do that." So yeah. The idea that the two parties also, Hake says that everything that Donald Trump says is reasonable. Do you think Obama was not born in America?
Okay, now with that intro section done, we're gonna
Don't think you're gonna like his answer.
We're gonna open it up to general area.
I love how this is a panel on what is the cause of the divisions in America, and half the panel, I think 3/4 of the panel, is just like fuck the other party. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's my thing. So I want to go after that a little bit too on both sides. So the idea that Kamala Harris has been just like anti-lock him up as a narrative as a whole, it's sort of the issue I have with Democrats acting like Democrats have been so civil this whole time. They're just a little more covert in their lies. Sure, she clapped down "lock him up" in that speech, but in the same speech she said, "I know Trump's type," when she's talking about scammers, fraudsters, criminals, and things like that. She clearly wants him to be locked up and made several statements aligning with the idea that he deserves to be locked up because he's a criminal. But then just when they say to lock him up, she's like, "Let's let the courts handle that." She clearly is making a stance that she thinks he should be locked up, but she's more covert about it, which is fair. That is good.
Sorry, do you disagree that Trump is a criminal?
Yeah.
No, but what I'm no, but I also
wait. We gotta let him finish.
I was being asked.
Yeah.
But then I also have an issue on the other side with Hake. Everything Trump says is reasonable. Even when he said he became a Republican because he thinks Republicans are so fucking stupid that they would vote for him no matter what. You think everything Trump has said is reasonable. This is the problem, is I don't think you're bought into those ideas politically. I think you're bought into those ideas because, as President Sunday said, there's an environment that has incentivized you to say either everything Trump has said is reasonable, or on the other side, everything Kamala has ever said is reasonable, and she's never made any similar mistakes to Trump, and she's a completely unrecognizable. It's apples to bowling balls when you're comparing.
Hold on. But Jetan, let's be honest here. Donald Trump's criminality is possibly nation-ending. Like when we talk about Kamala Harris speaking about how much of a criminal Trump is. Oh yes. If January 6th was successful, what the fuck do you think would have happened?
What do you mean? What is your term of successful? Because
if January 6th was successful, if those flexible electors were illegally overturned, no. If Trump overturned the election, what do you think the United States, anyone who is constitutionally loyal, what do you think the solution would have had to be to oust an illegal president. Would that not be damn near nation ending?
No, it would be suing. The Supreme Court would evaluate which slate of electors was legal. They would find that the original slate of electors was legal, and it wouldn't have ended the nation.
That's assuming.
Oh, really? Is the Supreme Court is unbelievably?
Give us a moment. I just want to make sure we have one at a time because we have 4 people trying to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw there was a few people trying to jump on this. So I want Jebtan, you just said what you think would happen, and so Crenshaw. Sure. I want to have you throw that question at MPU because it looks like he wanted to respond to that. Adam and Loner, I saw you wanted to talk, so I'll throw it to you after, okay?
All right, cool. Am I talking or MPU?
Yeah, MPU.
I think you're asking MPU something.
MPU, do you want to answer that question? I saw you wanted to respond to it.
Yeah, I mean, the point of fact is that there is a constitutional question as to whether or not under the existing law that Mike Pence had any responsibility whatsoever to declare that slates of electors that were brought by certain states where there were questions about the legality of the way the vote was conducted, particularly Wisconsin with their democracy in the park, the way they collected ballots, the way that Georgia allowed people to ballot harvest and stuff ballot boxes, and way Michigan, when Michigan certified their slate of electors without actually being able to balance the ballot books. That's 100%. 72% of the precincts in Michigan could not certify that their ballots were actually balanced. Okay?
Hold on.
No, wait a second, because let me finish, and then I'll let you come back.
Okay, wait, MPU, could you wrap it up in 20 seconds though, because that's a lot to respond to. So I want to make sure that he can, there's not too much.
So the basic tenet was that if a vice president under the current law or the law that existed in 2020, it's been changed since, if the vice president thought that the elector certificates were not in proper form, he could have, under the law, made an argument to say, no, we're not gonna certify that, and they didn't choose to do that.
Hold on.
Doghouse here. What's he doing here? I want to throw this over to back to Crenshaw. I don't know why he got in here. Crenshaw, and after Crenshaw, we're gonna go to Adam.
Yeah, okay. So first and foremost, almost literally every single case that Trump and his team made about stolen elections, XYZ ballots, all of them were proven to be false, particularly with the video in Georgia. That video was spliced, and I can give you the link. I can give you the link. I don't mind. I can give you the link of the video in which Giuliani and them literally spliced the video. But if you actually watch the video, that box was not automatically, it wasn't already under the table. It was a box of ballots they had counted that day, and it put in the box under the table that had no box under it from the beginning of the day. Everything is on video. There is absolutely no secret ballot as it pertains to Georgia, period. I don't know why you guys are believing this, especially given the fact that Giuliani literally sat there and said, yeah, not gonna lie, I did make up that story about, those election workers stealing the election. I did make that up, but it was my First Amendment right to make up that story. And sure, I ruined 2 people's lives, but First Amendment.
Okay, MPU, you can respond quickly, and then we got to throw it to Adam because other people want to talk.
And then can I get in there, Dylan? Can I get in
I'm learning so much about the causes of division in America.
Okay, but we got to move. That's why I want to throw it to Adam because we got to move on.
I'll say this one thing with respect to the cases. 62 cases were brought forward. 60 were dismissed for the concept of latches. Does anybody on this panel besides me and Lecture Fan understand what latches means? The cases
do you also acknowledge that even the ones do you also acknowledge
the cases were never heard on the merits?
Do you also acknowledge that although that was the reason they were just hang on.
Courts oftentimes take a position that they don't want to handle a thing because it's a political hot potato.
All the courts,
maybe it's fraud.
Wait.
More perfect.
Yeah, that's not what latches means.
Loner wants to respond very. Wait.
No. Latches says that you cannot bring.
Okay. One second. Okay, we're gonna do this quickly. We're gonna go Adam, then Loner. Okay, because there's too many people to talk. Okay, Adam.
I was going to respond to something 4 topics ago. If Lonerbox wants to wrap up the election fraud thing, I can bring it back to division.
Okay, so Loner, you can talk to MPU.
Okay, yeah, MP, you're not acknowledging that even the cases that were dismissed on latches were also, they reviewed the evidence as well. I don't know why you're leaving that part out. There were several cases, much more than 4 or whatever that you mentioned, that were also assessed on the merits, and not 2, like at least fucking 7. So I don't know where you're getting that from. Also, okay, you're lying, okay. Also, even Giuliani admitted that he was lying. He said that it was just his First Amendment right to do so. Even Fox News had to settle the Dominion case for the same reason. Jeb, I don't know why.
Exactly what the latches throwouts were for, which is that one party was unreasonably pushing cases and delaying cases in order to attack the other party and make it harder for the other party. That's the reason they got dismissed on latches, not just because it's a political hot potato, but because even Giuliani, Steve Bannon, they admitted behind closed doors that they were putting through cases they knew were going to fail in order to sow distrust in the election. That is what the latches doctrine is for. It is so that you don't allow a party to just recreationally attack and sue and push lawsuits just to delay a vote, just to delay a count.
Now what? Now I hate to crush this, but the problem is this entire topic we're talking about right now is the main event of tonight, and so if we just have this as also the main event, my God.
Yeah, I got something else to talk about.
I know we got So Adam Mockler has been waiting very patiently, and so I'm going to throw it to Adam. I know who else is waiting. I got a mental note, lecture, and I think Hake is waiting too.
Yeah, so Jebtan, I'm bringing it back like 10 minutes here. I totally disagree that Kamala Harris shooting down the lock him up chance are basically equivalent to Donald Trump basically allowing the chance to happen. Also saying it himself. Maybe we should lock her up. And the idea that the idea that Kamala Harris saying something to the effect of, I know Donald Trump's type, I've beat him before. I think that's more of her saying, I beat him in elections before. He's a cheater. We can see, like, if you disagree with any of this stuff, do you really think he's not a cheater? He's not a criminal. So I'm just to bring it back, I totally disagree that Kamala Harris shooting down the chance is the same as Donald Trump emboldening the chance. Can you see the difference there?
Can I jump in real quick? Yeah, so the issue is, and the issue lies in your recollection of the speech. You left out the parts where she describes that he is a criminal, deserving of being locked up. When she says, I know his type, she's not saying I've beaten him
before.
Did
she say he's deserving of being locked up?
Yeah, well, yes. She's saying, as a prosecutor, I know Donald Trump's type. She is literally saying, I prosecuted and
maybe she knows the type of guy that has 34 indictments. She knows the type of dude that has 34 indictments, and he's not fit to be president.
Just admit that she thinks he should be locked up because she thinks he's a criminal.
How is it? But it's not divisive for her to say that.
Can you admit that Kamala Harris will never explicitly say lock him up in the same way Donald Trump would?
If it's not If it's not divisive, why did Adam feel the need to leave that out and claim that she doesn't want him locked up? Because it doesn't.
Hey, look, it doesn't really matter what he says because the reality of the situation is like we just established.
One second. If you're both talking at the same time, I can't hear anything. I want Crenshaw to respond, and then I want to throw it over to Hake because he's been waiting very patiently the whole time to say nothing. Oh, actually, lecture fan. Sorry. Then Hake.
The reason why I'm saying it's not divisive is because if you look at the level I don't want to make it a J6 debate again, but the point of the matter is the level of crime Trump committed is democracy ending, capable of ending democracy. Calling him a criminal and drawing a line in the sand and saying this motherfucker is a criminal, this guy is capable of ending democracy, this guy needs to be locked up. When the line is drawn this far and you guys are grading him on such a crazy curve, somebody has to say something and demand actual rule of law. That's not divisiveness. That's taking a stand where it needs to be made.
Okay, I'm glad we admitted Kamala also said she wanted Donald Trump locked up. I'm glad we've gotten there. You can
the Constitution oath breakers should be locked up.
So quickly, Adam, I know Adam was trying to respond as well since it was his question, so I want to give him 15 seconds before we threw it the lecture, who I know is going to have some things to say. If you had anything you wanted to say, because you were trying to interact with Jeb as well.
Sorry, can I just read this quote real quick?
Sure, if you want to read a quote.
I know Donald Trump's type. This is what Kamala Harris was saying. In these roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Perpetrators who abused women. And tell me which one he didn't do. Perpetrators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own game. So hear me when I say I know Donald Trump's type. Like, where is she saying, can you be as good faith as possible? There's a difference between saying something like that versus lock her up and emboldening your crowd to chant lock her up. You don't see any difference between those two things.
No, so one is, I agree there's a difference.
It's a question for Jebtan, and then we got to go to lecture. I'm sorry, MPU.
I agree there's a difference. And I described the difference. I think in their divisiveness, Democrats are more covert. Donald Trump outright says, I want Hillary Clinton locked up, and that is bad, and you should not do that. Kamala covertly says, I want my opponent locked up. That is
So
bad,
Republicans are more openly
that.
divisive.
No, but
That's your
okay,
stance. Is
okay,
Republicans are more openly divisive.
No.
Over to lecture.
Democrats
I'm sorry.
are openly
You got it.
divisive.
The other
Sorry,
side.
wait, stop.
They're
Stop.
the ones sowing division.
Thank you, Dylan.
I'm gonna mass mute. I'm gonna mass
After
mute.
the
I'm mass
Thank you,
muting.
Dylan. Thank you,
Lecture
Dylan.
fan.
All right, thank you, Dylan. Appreciate that. I gotta say, Loner Box and Adam are like living on completely different planets, pushing false information because they don't even know that what they believe is false. Loner Box saying that the Democrat Party hasn't gone radical and the Republican Party has is just demonstrably false. Pew Global Research has done research on this where they've proven that's false. Adam Laxalt, or Adam Mockler, what? Sorry, I got your name wrong, but you're clearly like just a TDS guy. I don't know if you've been diagnosed.
Hey man, earlier you said something about,
or if you actually like believe what you had, or if you just don't know the history of where the device began, because it actually began in 2008 when Barack Obama first started. Thank you. It actually went back to 2008 when Barack Obama's 2008 campaign. I know you may not have been around for that, but that's exactly what it was. And you guys talking about like somebody actually locking up their political opponent are like living on a completely different planet. Donald Trump actually had the opportunity to prosecute Hillary Clinton. That was a closed and shut case. Donald Trump made the decision not to prosecute Hillary Clinton in an incredible act of deference to our process and everything else. And then you guys are talking about, will or will not Kamala Harris try to lock up her political opponents and abuse she's already doing it. She's a part of this exact administration that's doing this against Donald Trump right now, has filed all these frivolous lawsuits. And you guys claiming that Trump is a criminal over January 6th, recognize he's never been convicted of any crime over January 6th. So you're all full of crap.
Well, hold on.
Wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Crenshaw. I threw it over. I promised Adam.
Not been convicted of any crime.
Adam,
that doesn't mean anything.
No, Lecter fan keeps trying to.
I'm sorry, MPU. Sorry,
negative, Crenshaw.
Adam.
Lecter fan keeps trying to paint Democrats as all these radicals. Lonerbox touched on it, but like 70% of Republicans in Congress think the election was stolen. Do you think Kamala Harris is a communist, Lecter fan? Like, do you think most sitting Democrats are communists? Because you named her. You used the word communist
when you propose price controls, that's a communist policy. Price controls are a communist policy.
Wait, do you think Biden is a capitalist or communist?
I don't think.
I think Biden. I think Biden's like Bill Clinton. Like he doesn't really have true beliefs deep down.
So when you have Lecter fans sitting here going, the other side, they're full of communists. Do you think like Democrats are groomers too? Are you going to call us communists and groomers and then say we're the ones being divisive?
I think the left has given itself over to sexual perversion. Absolutely.
Okay, so we're the divisive ones, and you're going to call it just doesn't make sense. This is
like
anybody watching.
But if we were communists, you're cool with that.
That was no big deal.
Okay. We're gonna have Lonerbox respond, then Hake, and then President Sunday. Okay.
I was going to ask Lecterfan if he thinks like most American states are communist because they have like a lot of American states have laws against price gouging. I also want to correct myself. Actually, I misinformation.
No, they don't. You don't know what you're talking about. No, they don't.
It was actually 30 cases.
That's a lie.
It was actually 30 cases that were thrown out after the merits were assessed as well. As for the Hillary comparison, you have to understand the difference is that Hillary wasn't even indicted at the end. So she didn't plead the fifth once throughout all those fucking Benghazi hearings. Trump is a criminal.
Destroyed hardware.
He never.
Donald justice.
Donald Trump made the decision not to prosecute
justice in a way that says I'm going to destroy the data on devices and that I'm going to use physical means to physically destroy devices.
You thought it was divisive.
Donald Trump graciously didn't.
Obstructed justice. After she was told that you need to preserve all this stuff because there's a thing going on, she literally destroyed or caused to be destroyed physical and digital evidence of her malfeasance. She had no right as Secretary of State to have a non-secure server and pass thousands upon thousands of emails across it that included top secret.
Hold on, fact check. Fact check.
But it's got to be like.
Hey, there is no.
Hold on,
I'm gonna fact check.
There is a dispute here. There is a dispute here. There absolutely is a dispute. A simple Google search shows that the emails were defeated months before the subpoena, deleted months before the subpoena.
Was allowing the Harris campaign,
guys. Guys, I'm sorry to shut this down. I'm sorry to shut this down. I gotta shut it. You gotta let. Okay, goodbye. So we gotta keep moving because other people haven't been talking. Like President Sunday and Hake haven't said literally basically anything. So I'm going to throw it over to Hake.
All right. So to Adam's point about most Republicans think that the election is stolen in Congress, which I completely disavow for the sake of all the channels and because I don't know. I don't know what the details are. And they say that there's no way of knowing. They made it so there's no way of knowing. But I think it was the most secure in history, like the government tells us to believe. But that just shows that the Republicans are being peaceful even while believing all that stuff. And is Biden a capitalist or communist? He's a commie capitalist. He's just in bed with. He's been in the government forever, and he's in bed with the capitalists.
Define that.
Define it. It's the government and the big businesses in bed with one another against the people.
Hey, do you think Obama was born in America?
Let me just finish. Oh yeah, about the Obama thing. I'm not sure. I think he was probably based on Bill O'Reilly's claims. They looked into it. He was born in Hawaii, and of course, for the sake of the channels, I think
Bill O'Reilly.
But he has Hussein in his name, man. Sorry, go on.
But it's interesting that both Trump and our greatest sheriff, Joe Arpaio, looked into it and found questionable stuff there. I think Obama may have just been trolling us. I think it's just a joke. Nobody really cares about it, except for boomers who care about, right and wrong and stuff, and the fake people who believe in like the racism stuff. But Obama divided the country racially more than anybody. Lecture Fan pointed that out. He was bringing Black Lives Matter to the White House, and pre Obama, we were more racially united than after Obama, and that was predicted by people like Jesse Lee Peterson. And Trump, it's funny because Trump is the law and order candidate, and they're trying to act like he's this criminal.
Hold on, wait. I'm Crenshaw. I'm sorry. I'm the law and order man. I'm sorry. President Sunday hasn't said anything basically the whole time, and I think that that entire sentence I think is just up Sunday's alley. So I wanted Sunday.
Nice.
I've been talking over everybody else. It's all good. But I am curious though if anybody else if we go around the panel and we could say what the actual initial prompt was and give an example of when we've actually addressed it in the past, however long we've been doing this for. Also, on that point,
the question was about divisiveness, and Trump is the one who is responsible for most of the.
I hate to fucking say it. Lonerbox's the only one who's actually providing an answer to the fucking question.
No, I mean I've answered the question in my opening statement. I don't think Trump was a source. He might be the source right now, but I don't think if we're talking about sources, we just go to the most recent. I think the reason Trump existed in the first place was because you had very milquetoast, polite, very respectful conservative politicians playing the wrong game and losing elections because they were clapping down hysteria in their parties while Obama was silent when his vice president was saying that his opponent wanted to put black people back in chains, that he probably I forget the random things that their media outlets were saying, starting it. He was doing unsanctioned slave labor and refusing to pay, all these narratives about Mitt Romney that just ended up not being true at all. Obama was silent about them. And when you're silent about that growing and escalating mistruths and deceit that are really insidious, unless you think racism is not a big deal, those are really insidious claims. And you allowed an opening for a guy like Trump to gain hold in the party that was trying to play civility politics because you beat and abused them by calling them racists, calling them xenophobes, homophobes, misogynists, and then calling their candidates, who were clearly none of those things, the worst thing, like saying he wants slavery back. He wants to put black people back in chains on the debate stage.
I want to pose a question because I want to drill down on this for a moment and say.
Okay, but I'd like to extend beyond what Jeb Tan is saying after. That's fine.
Okay. I think in Crenshaw has something to say as well. I think there's a few people that have things to say. But first, I just wanted to drill down on this for a second and ask, Jebton, do you think that if that attack wasn't done on Mitt Romney, how do you think that would have affected America's political divisions? Do you think that there would have still been a space for Trump? Do you think Trumpism, how would that have affected the development of the MAGA movement or certain divisions that you have said that, for example, I know that you believe that Trump has contributed to?
Yeah. I'm gonna talk fast so that it stays succinct. If you look at the way that Trump won, he had an initial really big bump in enthusiasm, and then actually, as voters started to think a little bit more, Ted Cruz started massively gaining right near the end, but he was just too late. I don't think people were bought and sold on Trump the way they were on Obama, the way that a lot of people describe it when they're recreating history. Like Trump was the Republicans' Obama that just moved all of the neutral voting blocks over to the Republicans and saved us and all that shit. I think that if you didn't have a long lead up of people attacking conservatives for being racist, misogynist, homophobic, all conservatives carte blanche, I do think there would have been a lot less room for Trump. I think he probably would have failed to a candidate like Ted Cruz, who ended up getting pretty close to neck and neck near the end. And I think we would have a lot less political division, because I'm not gonna die on this absolutely insane hill that Trump is reasonable, that Trump does not purposefully stoke the flames of division. He absolutely does, and he absolutely has done serious damage to our political discourse. And I despise that the window was opened for a guy like him to become our candidate. And I don't think it's the Democrats' fault. I think it's the game's fault. I think the media has an incentive to get clicks by saying these really inflammatory things about candidates, and so they're just going to latch on to whatever candidate is willing to say those things more, and they're going to publicize that person way more.
Okay,
I just want to respond to that really directly. So you're talking about,
and then after Loner, we're going to throw it quickly to MPU before bouncing it back around.
So that objection, but then obviously if I wanted to do what you were saying, I could go with the Democrats and say, well, they had a reason to get inflamed because of how many times they were called communists by the Republicans, or how many times during the Iraq War they were all accused of being traitors who hated the troops and all this shit. So, but then again, that would be a very retarded defense, because at the end of the day, we're adults and we have to, you don't just forego the principles of democracy and everything else just because the other side's being mean to you. At the end of the day, Biden did say something very stupid about how some stupid law that Romney wanted to pass would put people back in chains to a largely black audience, but Trump made that character his entire political platform. That's something the Democrats have not done.
He made the winning formula his platform, and I can blame him for doing that on a moral principle level, but I can't blame, when I'm looking at the a meta analysis of how politics has moved, I can't blame politics for moving toward the direction of the winning formula. And I agree, Democrats were called communists, then conservatives were called evil racists. Before, if you want to argue where it all started, you could argue just Woodrow Wilson, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. But we're having a conversation about the source of the division, and I think the source of the division is exactly what even you and President Sunday got at the beginning, which was there is an incentive for tribalism, to borrow the Roganism of it, that encourages people to be 100% black and white against other group for their group. And I've fallen victim to it many times as a conservative who refuses to vote for Trump, but also refuses to vote for Kamala because I'm a small government conservative. I think we should have really strong political divides, and I think that we should have a really strong encouragement to bridge political divides personally.
We're going to throw it over to MPU quickly.
Yeah, so the idea about when this started really gets mostly to the point. I mean, yeah, Jebtan, you're correct. It really begins with Woodrow Wilson. It begins with the 17th Amendment, okay, and the loss of the states to be able to control or restrain the actions of the House based on states' rights versus the individual rights of the way people elect the House, okay? But in a modern sense, it really starts with the election of 2000 and how Al Gore concedes the election and then unconcedes the election. And then we end up with this process that rolls all the way forward to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said they take a stand and they say, no, you can't continue to keep counting ballots. And then everybody bitches and moans and says the election is stolen. I don't know how many Democrats stood up and said everything was stolen. Everything was stolen. You know, people bitch about Donald Trump saying that 2020 was stolen, but my God, 20 years earlier, the Democrats were the ones leading that charge. Oh, and guess what? An independent study by the left-wing media after the election of 2000 actually found out that George W. Bush won by more votes than when the count was actually stopped.
Can we admit the Democrats did a much better job coming back and confirming that election than Republicans have lately, though? We have to be able to concede.
George W. Bush won a massive amount in 2004. Okay, it wasn't until after the Democrats took over the Senate in the Senate in 2006 that they began to push this narrative it's time to get rid of the Democrats or the Republicans, and they literally undermined him to the point that it was possible for the Democrats to have a chance in 2008. And honestly, let's be very candid. If it weren't for a third-party candidate in 2008, okay, and if it weren't for the fact that John McCain literally fell on his sword like a fucking rhino that he was, okay, that Barack Obama would not have won.
Okay.
Fell on his
We have to throw it around. There's other people that gotta talk. There's gotta be no. I'm sorry, MP. We gotta throw it around. There's other people waiting.
You gotta understand.
They gotta understand there's other people on the show. President Sunday. I know you've been waiting, and we got Adam Mockler as well.
We still have not seen a single answer to the actual question that the panel prompt posed, which is what caused the divisions and our divisions. I assumed it wasn't America broadly, but let's just isolate to America. We've got a whole bunch of people attacking the other party as being the cause of it.
I feel like
that's the division already.
I've pointed out a very clear answer. I feel like several times.
Okay,
I think it's the media's incentive to cover candidates that are more inflammatory than the other candidates. I think that's what caused the incentive. You can argue that incentive was caused.
But that's just restating what I said. That's not actually pointing at the actual cause.
That's
I mean, I think the cause is I think that is a cause.
I think the
media's lack of journalistic.
No. The media can only do that, presuming there's already a division in the first place. Obviously, it doesn't have a side to pick.
I disagree. I disagree 100%.
Presumably that there's.
I think the media can absolutely manufacture narratives and inflame them. I think they've done that.
Of course it does, but it has no bearing on the question.
That does, because
their thumb is on the scale every election.
If we're agreeing, President Sunday, that the issue isn't political division's good. The issue is more personal divides that are entrenched in our sort of.
When you have only binary political division, we're not talking about a lack of. We're not talking about political division in the positive sense. We're talking about an absence of other political divisions to give people more fine-tuned interests that would cause.
I don't think we only have binary political.
So you're a parliamentarian?
No, I think the GOP has divisions within itself. I think the Democrat Party has divisions within itself. I don't think we have binary political divisions. I think we have binary personal divisions because the media creates artificial narratives of all the political divides within the Democrat Party have to unite against the democracy-ending Republicans, and the Republican divisions all have to pair together against the socialist, communist, Democrat evil people. It's like I think the media takes
but that's not untrue though. Here's the problem though. You're taking me to be saying that that's artificial. That's not untrue though.
I think it is untrue.
It's not untrue.
Let's have President Sunday finish, and then we're going to throw it over to Adam because Adam has been waiting patiently.
Well, as Lonerbox said, one party tried to coup the government, but at a more subtle level, one party has been obsessively going after intellectual freedom, the ability of entire demographics to get access to the voting booth in the first place, et cetera, et cetera. Just because that dynamic takes off from that doesn't mean that the premise is
what
false.
Demographic are you suggesting?
Democrat Party's terrible.
Are you saying they don't want black people to vote? They don't want what demographic are they purposefully attacking voting rights of?
Purposely attacking when you're talking, for example, about I'm talking much more broadly because I'm from Canada. When you're talking, for example, about the general attack on entire lines of discourse, or for example, when you have an obsession with
misinformation argument.
No, hold on. Let him clarify. I'm trying to get a clarification. Don't interrupt his clarification.
I was asking like the misinformation argument, but sure, go ahead.
I don't know what that means. The misinformation argument. No, I'm talking about the attempt to have entire sectors of academia either defunded or removed from universities entirely. And I'm talking about the attempt to use. I'm talking about the attempt. Beg your pardon?
Oh yeah.
More explanation on that, please.
Well, but he's explaining it, and then you're interrupting his further explanation.
Let's let President Sunday have 30 seconds because we have other people who are waiting. Beautiful.
No, it doesn't matter. The point is that if you're coming down to a point where you're just referring everything to the other party, you're not actually getting behind the cause of the divisions in the first place. Now, whether or not that's actually true or not is trivial. That could be the case or that could not be the case. Mm-hmm. However, the problem is that the way in which all of this conversation is oriented is that we are talking about questions that are so dire that you literally cannot physically, and Lonerbox is a constant victim of this, even when it's correctly, you cannot physically make any kind of overture to the other side or to a more moderate position without ceding ground to the other side with dire consequences.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I think that comes to the separation of perception and reality that the media has created. Because as you said, you think that there's one party that is just unanimously pulling money away from levels of intellectual pursuit that's going to damage the country. But then one of our strongest Republican governors has elevated his state to #1 in education through more investment into education, higher teacher salaries, higher professor salaries, better tenure programs, more involvement of parents and school boards. Like, he has improved education, and he is from the party you're saying is attacking intellectual pursuits in education.
Is that a reflection of the party as a whole, or is that just one person?
I think one of the strongest governors and most influential governors from a party does represent a good chunk of that party as well, especially when he represented one of the bigger
when the whole party is calling for the ending of the Department of Education. Doesn't that kind of just like disregard?
The whole party is not. Hold on, the whole party is not calling for the. This is the.
They swear fealty. They swear fealty to a man who is backed by a movement that's claiming they want to destroy the Department of Education.
And this is the issue.
Good.
So
it is not the issue. It is the reality. It is the reality.
Rashad, stop interrupting me, because you know what I'm going to say. They swear fealty, quote unquote, to a man who has only ever denounced the plan you're referring to, who has only ever created an agenda that directly conflicts with Project 2025. And the only people that the Democrats are ever able to bring up that say that Project 2025 is Trump's plan are the people who wrote Project 2025 and are begging for it to be Trump's plan. It's like me saying the Steelers are going to start Justice Fields. I am a reputable source because I want them to start Justice
Donald Trump and the truth are just tight like this, and we're just going to ignore all the people directly involved in Project 2025 who say, yeah, we're talking to the guy. Many of us are going to be in his administration, but
so you think currently Project 2025 is Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation. You think they're very honest and Trump is a liar? Because you're saying,
do you deny the obvious? Do you deny the fact that there is a connection between Trump's administration and them? He knows who they are. He associates with them. He talks about how their movement and their plans directly align with his. And then when they release Project 2025.
Except when he talks about
so when Trump says anything, regardless of any sort of conflicting information to the contrary, we're going to ignore that and instead believe whatever gives him the best image.
The issue, Rashad. Okay, you are only accepting information.
That's effectively what you're doing.
I'm sorry to shut this down, but I'm sorry to shut this down, but other people have been waiting very patiently.
It's such a direct attack.
Okay,
you guys have over to Adam.
The entire reason the Project 2025 thing started is because I think Rashad said they want to eliminate the Department of Education. Did you say that? And then Jebtan said
that's not why it started. They started attacking Project 2025 because it wanted to push like unprecedented power to the executive. That's why they started attacking.
No. I mean, like 2 minutes ago, were we talking about the Department of Education?
Yeah, we were.
Yes.
Donald Trump has said he wants to abolish the DOE. That is not coming from Project 2025.
Yeah, because you know what? Our schools were better before we had a federal.
Look it up real quick, Jebtan. But also,
so we just destroy an entire department to solve what problem exactly?
I just want to clarify that Donald Trump wants to abolish the DOE.
As did Reagan.
Wait a second. I can't hear Adam, so please.
Let me take it back like 5 minutes. Jebtan, didn't you say something to the effect of the Republicans got more divisive because they were copying the winning model from Democrats?
No, not from Democrats. I think the politics got more divisive because politics trended toward the winning formula. I think Trump's specific formula did get ripped from the Democrats and he exacerbated it. But I purposefully this entire time have been trying to not say it's the Democrats' fault for divisiveness. It's the Republicans' fault for divisiveness because I don't think it is. I think it is the natural incentive for inflammatory rhetoric because of 24/7 widespread media that has come as a result of.
But hold on. Don't you agree that Donald Trump?
We gotta pause this for a moment. We gotta pause this for a moment because who just said that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. I lost my hearing in Ukraine a little bit. Okay, Adam, give me a second. I gotta shill because in about 20-25 minutes we're going to start winding this down. And so I just want to say that for those who want to ask questions, and I will pose these questions to the people, if there's any burning questions from the conversation up to this point or that hasn't been said, people who donate right now in 10-15 minutes, I will ask the questions of the people before we let them get out of here because Hippy Dippy is back and I want to shill because I want better body armor. Okay, Adam, you can respond.
Yeah, Jebtan, you keep not to keep attacking you or whatever, but you keep cherry picking this quote from Biden about putting people in chains while ignoring that Rush Limbaugh dominated the airwaves throughout the 2000s. And if we want to go all the way back to Newt Gingrich, this article reads, Newt Gingrich immediately urged people to call Democrats un-American, traitors, shallow, and sick. The 1994 election changed the way American politics works because it convinced lawmakers from both parties to use the winning tactic, which is basically what you were saying, but it seems like Newt Gingrich is the one that kind of mainstreamed this tactic.
No, he didn't mainstream it. No. Woodrow Wilson, if you want to argue the strongman president, the opposing party is literally evil. If you want to pinpoint an original person, it's Woodrow Wilson. But who the fuck cares when the Republicans did it right after him and the Democrats
go back
did
to
it right after
1913.
And,
Come on. Let's talk about the
This
90s.
is, we're pretending. We're pretending like.
What?
Wait. Stop for a second, guys. Wait, no, MPU. Hey, that was a barbed question in response, and I want to hear the answer to that. Adam just said, Woodrow Wilson, really? That's like 100 years ago. Is Trump divisive because Woodrow Wilson, was
yes.
What Woodrow Wilson?
That's really your best example?
Okay, hold on.
Wait, stop. Crenshaw. I just said that he's going to respond, so he's going to respond. It was a barbed question, so he gets a chance to respond. Jeb?
Yes, thank you. Yes, history happens over a long period of time. I could also say Kamala's current stance on banning AR-15s comes from U.S. versus Miller and U.S. versus Heller, one of which happened before 1913. History happens over a long period of time. And for things to get so extreme as they have now, they had to have been ramped up over a long period of time. I think technology has made that exponentially faster, and that's why I don't think it's any party's fault. I think it's the 24/7 news cycle's fault. We've never had a 24/7 news cycle before the 2000s.
Okay, can I just pretending here? Can I just try to steal on what you're saying, and then we'll move on from that? Because it sounds like you're saying then that because of this 24/7 media we have, is that basically it's like a bipartisan issue where the media is incentivized to leapfrog each other in terms of sensationalizing and polarizing, and that's why you get that problem, and Trump just rode that wave. Is that more or less your argument?
I appreciate that steelman.
So I've steelmaned it. Now I'm just going to take it apart because again, it's not a partisan issue. Because when it comes to, even if that were the case, then Trump is still the one who took that and chose to take that of his own volition. And if people who support him chose to support him and make that deal with him to be the leader of the Republican Party, he's the one that did that of his own volition. He's the one who, and also Fox. If we're talking about the media, Fox News. I don't know what the Democrat equivalent of this is, but Fox News knowingly lied about the Dominion case, and so they did because they didn't want to lose their viewers to Newsmax. That's why it's a one-sided issue. And that's why I'll say one more thing. Come on, chill. One more thing. I'm just saying, inflammatory rhetoric isn't a bad thing if what you're saying is true. When people say one side is a threat to democracy or Democratic Federal Republic, that it's because it's true. Because he didn't accept the result of the election.
The issue is not everything they've been saying.
And he tried to overthrow the system.
Not everything they've been saying is true, though, is the problem. And that is the problem.
Generally,
we're pretending like you're pretending like Trump's divisiveness.
Rashad is a great example of.
You're pretending like Trump's divisiveness is similar to anyone else. Can you bring up another president who falsely accused the seated president of trying to murder him?
Okay, actually, we're gonna throw that question to MPU because he wanted to respond.
Can you name a former president who accused the seated president of trying to assassinate him in an FBI raid?
He didn't say.
Wait, here, look.
He did not say that
MP,
President
he said
he did.
What do you think Trump was trying to communicate when he said that? I didn't want to hold hands with him.
I don't know if I'm supposed to answer.
No, it's for MPU.
CIA have anything to do with the John Kennedy?
No, Jetson can answer.
Well, no, we're trying to move on this time. I'm trying to.
Okay, well, look, if I may,
stop. Everybody, stop.
Little interjection.
No interjection. Shush. Okay, I was throwing the question over to MPU because we're trying to give everybody some speaking time. MPU, would you like to respond and go deep? Because I just wanted to give you an opportunity to move because you wanted to talk.
Look, the idea that somehow this is one party versus another, I think the news media, by and large, since the 60s, right, since the Vietnam War effort and all of the radicalization that happened on college campuses, these were people that then became educators, and then they became parents of children who became educators. And there is a certain stripe of progressivism or communism or socialism that has pervaded itself through the education system. And to be honest, I think most people in this country, because they're having to work so hard in order to pay their bills and keep their family alive or afloat, that they somehow have forgotten what the impact of education has been on where people's political ideologies are formed.
I want to reply to MPU, and I'm going to be silent for the rest of the. I want to be silent for the rest of the panel. I just want to reply to MPU very quickly.
It all comes through the education system and the failure of American citizens, parents particularly, to maintain that control over what their kids are being taught and to hold their school systems accountable for how their children are being taught.
Okay,
and
Sunday.
now we get
I just want my last word today.
Where we are.
Okay, here's the deal. We've all been reducing this down to like this party, that party did whatever, and yeah, there's probably a truth about that, but that's kind of beside the point. I know, but now I'm addressing you directly. MPU, at the end of this panel, you're going to be alone in a parking lot. It's going to be silent, and what I want you to think about is how your obsession with this, you as an individual, we know what the people in the parties are divided on. We know what their interests are. You as an individual, you put this shit above dealing with your personal life and making sure that you were in a good place with your family, with God, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to think about that when this call ends and you are in silence and there is no hope.
Look,
bring it back.
But I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Okay, can I pose a question? Can I pose an actual question?
Man.
Can I pose an actual?
Don't say that bullshit.
Can I pose an actual question?
That is society writ large, fucker.
Okay, this feels this was
still true.
Yeah, that was way off topic. I don't know.
I just have a question.
Wait, we gotta quiet down now. Look, for me, that's like way past the bar. For my personal opinion. Wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Apologizing to Brian Kai for accusing him of sexual assault before, Dylan.
What the fuck are you doing? Sunday. You know what? Wait.
You're defending killing kids.
We're gonna quiet down. Wait. We're gonna quiet down for a second. Everybody quiet down for a second. Sunday. The reason that's past the bar for me because my mother was homeless and I saw like drug addictions and personal shit like destroy her. I don't know why you're like, oh, bring out last drama. Hi, let's bully like the homeless person. This is so fun. Oh, I'm just a great. Look, I don't like this. I don't just look. All I'm gonna say is like you're.
I'm sorry. This guy isn't.
Look, this is my one warning. Wait, I'm not done talking. Everybody, I'm sorry. I even have to meet you. I'm sorry. This is my one warning. We're getting off of this.
I'll save you the trouble. It's all good, Dylan.
This is okay. Whatever.
President Sunday's.
Can I have an actual question, please?
Okay, we're gonna go back to like 1 second. MPU.
Fucking President Sunday to charge out.
I mean that is.
We
true.
love the homeless.
I mean, anyway, we're gonna get back on topic. That was crazy. Who wants to grab this and bring us back to actual like?
Can I bring it back, please? I have a question.
Rashad's been on.
I have an actual question. Okay, I want to ask the conservatives here. When Donald Trump told Congresswomen of color to go back to their crime-infested countries, what was he trying to communicate there?
He didn't say that. He said go back to where you came from.
He definitely did say that.
He
because
didn't say
they're dividers. They're in here pushing
go back to where you came from.
No, he said go back to your crime-infested countries.
They should
go back to your crime-infested countries.
Where he said go back.
I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy.
Who just said they should? Okay.
I don't know why we're doubting that Trump definitely said this.
Trump 100%, unfortunately.
Where you came from.
He told
us saying, hey, MPU.
Wait, one at a time. I wanted to throw it to Adam to respond. I think he wanted to clarify something.
Earlier, President Sunday's like, MPU, someday you'll be lying on your deathbed and this is what you'll be thinking about. It's just so dark. Like, why would you say something like that? But okay. Someone said something a second ago. Oh, Hake, were you the one that was saying that they should go back to their country?
Yeah, this is all talk. People are all upset about Trump's words. Give me a break. Okay. Trump's actions. Trump is the solution, not the problem. But go ahead.
But MPU, is Hake divisive when he says that? MPU?
No.
Please concede to that.
Okay, I have a question. So what is it about those Congress? Wait, hold on. I have a question.
Wait, one at a time.
Just one more. Just one more.
Wait. Both quiet. Wait for a second, guys. If I can't. You're making my job difficult. I love the panel scene. So Crenshaw, ask your one question quick, and then we'll have the response.
Okay, so my question is what about them makes them need to go back to their country? Like, what separates them from all the other congressmen and women? Like, what is it about them that makes them need to go back? And given the fact that the majority of them were born here, where should they go exactly? I'm really curious.
Trump was going to deal with the anchor baby issue.
They're not anchor babies. So where do they go?
Go back to your country. What he was saying is, if you want to be a fucking dickhead for Brooklyn, go back to fucking Brooklyn.
No, he said countries. He said countries. He told them to go back to their countries, not their state. To go back to their countries. I'm curious. I'm curious as to why.
1 second. I'm sorry. 1 second. Guys. If you're all yelling at the same time, literally nobody's hearing anything and nobody's gaining anything. So Crenshaw, ask the question in a single second. and sentence directed towards one person. That one person gets to respond, and then we move on.
Okay, is it MPU, right?
MPU, yes. And then
right.
MPU,
okay.
you respond in a single paragraph.
Okay, when Donald Trump is telling them to go back to their crime-infested countries, why is he saying that to them specifically? Like, what makes them so special? And what he also said before they tell us how to do things, who is us and what makes them they and what makes everyone else us? What separates them? I'm curious.
Well, they're clearly, obviously, white haters, man haters, and they come in with a foreign evil mindset that's anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-man, and so he's naturally going to speak the way that a whole lot of normal people think and feel, and he should have the right to do that. It's not as if they're actually going to go back. Did he actually try to get the government to do it? No.
But so he said it though, and that's divisive, isn't it? And no one else has ever done that. It is divisive
because he's speaking. He's speaking how normal people want people.
Be clear.
So you believe the average normal white person thinks that
places where you came from, not your countries, Crenshaw.
Okay, I'll pull up exactly. I'll pull it up exactly.
Wait. Let's pause this for a moment. Wait, pause it. Wait. No, Crenshaw.
Let me clarify what he said. He's lying.
Okay, wait, no, I want to clarify one thing. Wait, let me be quiet. Let me be quiet. Okay, I'm gonna mute you both because I see the disagreement, okay? And I'm gonna boil it down to its purest form. So, MPU, you're saying that when he says they came from, that doesn't mean their countries. Where Crenshaw, you're gonna say, I assume that that's not the case. That he means their countries when he says that. Okay.
Can I read the whole quote?
No, one at a time, Crenshaw. I threw it to Crenshaw. Okay.
Donald Trump says, this is the first part of the tweet. Donald Trump says, so interesting to see progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst, most corrupt and inept anywhere in the world, in parentheses, if they even have a functioning government at all, now loudly and viciously tell the people of the United States, because apparently these congresswomen aren't people of the United States, the greatest and most powerful nation on earth, how to run our government. Why don't they go back to their country and fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came, then come back and show us there's a separation?
What a fucking loser.
How? What does that mean? What does that mean?
They don't.
Wait, we got to give MPU a chance to respond. Let me hear MPU. I got to hear MPU respond.
You dickheads is sitting in front of a computer.
Yeah, no.
Wait 1 second. We got to give MPU the chance to respond. What do you think of what that quote he just said?
There's nothing to respond to.
There's nothing to respond to. You're right.
Talk about people like Ilhan Omar, who literally fucking hates this country.
She's not the only one.
If Trump did say it, fine.
Exactly. The anti-Semite in the fucking Congress. Crenshaw, do you want to support?
Didn't Trump invoke Kanye an anti-Semite to Mar-a-Lago?
Okay,
wait.
Wait.
Ilhan Omar? Do you support Ilhan Omar?
I don't know, but she's not a representative of my state. I don't give a fuck about no Ilhan Omar. I don't know who that is.
Okay, now let's end it there. We're ending it there. Wait, no, we're ending it there. We're ending it there because
who she is?
Ilhan Omar is not in the room, and I want to get to the main up. And she's not in the room. Adam Mockler, we're gonna throw it to Adam quickly, and then I'm gonna pose the last question to the group, which is about mending political divides. If it's possible, if we should even do it, it's something we should care about. Adam?
Can I just point out that over the past 3 minutes, MPU went from Donald Trump didn't actually say that to, yeah, fuck them, they should go back to their country. Do you support them? Yeah, like, you're going to say that these people are sitting here. No, stop. MPU, Lecter fan, and Hake.
They should go back to their country.
Okay, so when Hake said it, was it divisive?
You know that you're a liar.
When Hake said it, was it divisive? When Hake, you think they should go back to their country?
It would be great.
Okay, MPU, is that divisive?
If they don't want to fucking be in this country and be a contributing part of society, yeah, they should go the fuck back.
Okay, so we just
obviously like participating in society.
Honestly, and you want to contribute to this country, fine, be here.
But they're congresswomen though, and the 3 of them were born here. But like,
they don't belong in Congress.
Come on.
I just find it really annoying that people like Hake, Lecter fan, and MPU.
on?
You know, Hake and Lecter fans seem like nice people, but they've been gaslighting us this entire panel. Lecter fans' opening statements was calling Democrats communists, saying Joe Biden is a communist. Hake made up a new term. Hake thinks that they should go back to their country. Like, just say it one more time. Ilhan Omar should go back to her country, right? Do you think that Muslims should be banned from coming in, Hake? Because you guys are going to sit here and say that we're the divisive ones, and then Hake is going to be like, no, we should deport everyone. We should, like, it's just so annoying how you guys are going to sit here and gaslight us.
We should deport
Those are not
every
divisive.
illegal alien. We should.
The truth is divisive. The truth is naturally going to be divisive, just as lies are divisive. You divide based on what's right, as Jesus did, as Trump is doing, and then you divide based on lies, which is what the Democrats and the rhinos are doing.
Let's let
Hutch finish. Wait. Let's Hake finish. He hasn't talked much this show.
And then I can go.
Yeah, Hake, you didn't get to finish. I didn't hear at the end.
Oh yeah. So I think that to answer that one, I think Jeb's question, yes, I think Republicans might really be stupid if that's a real Trump quote, because Republicans have been voting in people who just turn against them and work with the Democrats and just follow the lead of the Democrats.
Ooh,
and
cooperation.
It is, you know, I love cooperation for what's right, but not just catering. And it is human nature to divide. I don't join into this blaming of the media stuff, because if the media were not exploiting evil human nature, if we didn't have the evil human nature within us, the media couldn't do anything. And it's not just the media. People are both spoiled and strained right now. And Trump can bring that back because he can bring back the economy. And when people are living well, they're less apt to blame other people. So, and he's also a uniter.
Spoiled and less strained.
He's for love. What's that?
Like, my issue is you're describing problems that started with Trump. Like, yes, we did vote in basically Democrat into the presidency. His name was Donald J. Trump. He's like a 90s Democrat. His policy platform, he just had the Republican platform changed to basically be a 90s Democrat platform. And you literally said it. It kind of was a Freudian slip. But you said, yeah, I think Republicans are stupid, if that's a real Trump quote. You're like, I will take Trump's lead. If he thinks Republicans are stupid, then they are.
Well,
like,
they are. Look at how. Look, we voted for McCain. We voted for Mitt Romney. I'm glad they lost.
This is the other ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Insurrection? Yes. No, McCain? Oh, no. Romney? Oh, no.
Insurrection? Give me a break.
This can be done so fast.
Let's let Jeb finish, and then I got to pose a question.
Okay.
I need the cognitive dissonance to be bridged, but it takes effort from you guys to do so. MPU, do you realize the separation from reality that you demonstrate when you say McCain died on his sword but is a rhino? You're literally admitting that he died on principle and then accusing him of being unprincipled as a result. Like, these are the guys we want to elect.
There's a difference between dying on your sword for a principle that upholds the Constitution and then being one that just simply, I came to Congress as a broke dick motherfucker and then I left as a multimillionaire.
What sword did he die on?
What part of the Constitution? What part of the Constitution?
I want to hear. Wait, no, wait. I want to hear. Wait, I want to hear that question from Jeb Tan's question. I want to hear. Can I hear the? Can I? Wait, no, wait. Yeah, that question.
What sword do you think McCain died on? When you say he died on his sword, what are you referring to specifically?
McCain thought that he was doing the right thing, which is fine, except he literally sold out the Constitution.
In what way?
He could have literally ended Obamacare, which was an unconstitutional bullshit program, and he chose not to do it on his fucking deathbed. So yeah, he sold the Constitution out for his quote-unquote principles.
Out of hatred for Trump. Out of pure hatred for Trump, by the way.
Did Congress vote adequately to completely reverse Obamacare? They
Congress did it with the 60-vote majority that cost them the 60-vote majority. You fucking ain't right, they did it, but they did it with Democratic support, not with Republican support.
Okay, so now
I'm still mind blown that someone like Hake exists.
We got. I want to throw out. But the final question, Hake, was there one? I thought you were going to say something at the end there, and before I pose the final question and we start to wrap this up, I wanted to make sure you got that chance because you were quiet most of the panel. I want to give you opportunity.
Oh. I encourage everybody to examine themselves. And, you know, the Democrats were crying, Russia, 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 and denying the election like crazy. And everybody does it. Just cut them some slack. Once it came down to it, Trump was orderly. And that's how boomers and Christians and conservatives are. So
What was Trump doing for those 3 hours when all the goons were up inside the Capitol? I'm assuming.
I
he
don't
was
know,
like,
and I don't care.
4 years of his presidency.
You don't care?
They were mulling around.
4 years of
The
his
damage was already
presidency
done.
hurt anybody? What did he
Yeah, I
do?
know.
Hey,
What was he doing for those 3 hours?
And there's
What are we
they're
doing?
persecuted. That's true. Lecture fan brought it up.
What about unemployment? What about fucking wage growth?
The moment you turn your back on the Constitution, I don't give a damn about your presidency. The moment you turn your back, the moment you break your oath, whatever you did as president, he
Okay, the
he took
political,
the oath and
you
he
know,
wiped his ass with it.
everybody, I'm sorry to say we're shutting it down because I think we have not fixed our political divides today. I thought we were gonna do it. I thought we were really close, honestly.
The Trump sexuals, they spinning on it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
and wait. Before we all go, wait. It's the last question, everybody.
Last question.
Everybody
is screaming with a sorry.
Law and order. Law and order. I need the law and order presidency right now. Okay, look. I know that we had a lot of heated debate today, and everybody here couldn't disagree with each other more, but I want to throw something out there. Obviously, this conversation in and of itself is an example of the amount of political divisiveness and polarization, as Loner Pox put earlier. So I wanted to ask you guys, how do we mend the divide? Should we mend the divide? And can we mend the divide? Those are the three questions. I'm going to pose it first to Adam Mockler.
Muted.
That's a brilliant point, Adam.
Wait, say it again. How can we and should we?
How, should, and can we? Or you can put it whatever order you want.
I definitely think we can, but I don't even know, like, it's such a broad question. Something that I've always said is media literacy classes from a young age could probably help a lot of the disinformation right now, and maybe helping the disinformation landscape could, in a roundabout way, help the division. So, like, my answer would be media literacy classes, but that's just one aspect of it.
Okay. And where can people find you, man?
Oh, youtube.com/Adam Mockler. Go check it out.
Awesome, man. Did you have a good time on the revamped Hippy Dippy?
This was great. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad that everyone. If I started yelling at you guys, I haven't eaten much today, so sorry if I was mad. But I want to say, real MPU was screaming with his face red, saying that Democrats were the ones who were divisive. He's sitting there like throwing a bitch fit, saying that we're the ones who are crazy. It's just kind of ironic.
Okay, well that means I have to throw it over to MPU because that's the only dignified thing I can do is let the man respond.
Again. Scream at me.
No, I'm sitting in a hot ass truck, and that's why it's red and it's raining. It's very humid here, and I'm an old motherfucker, so that's why. My point about all of this. You talk about media literacy classes. What about people holding fucking politicians to account for being truthful and being honest about what they're doing? We talk about like, oh, Trump did this, did that. He's this, he's that. When you look at what Trump's policies actually did, his policies were actually very good.
Which one?
Okay. The way that the news media, maybe the media literacy classes would be good. But then we have to question who the fuck is actually teaching the media literacy class. Okay. The media is literally driven by the left. So when conservatives feel like they have to push back in a way that gets the message across and they have to be loud and proud about what it is, it's very true. Everybody, they called it the Inflation Reduction Act. It drove fucking inflation. It drove it off a cliff. Okay? When politicians don't tell the truth, there's no media literacy that's controlled by one side that's going to make that better. The only thing that's going to make it better is people taking responsibility for themselves, their children, their children's education, and teaching them how to discern fact from fiction.
And where can people find you?
I am a homeless vet right now. I don't really have a streaming library, as you can tell, because I'm talking to you out of my car. But when I do stream, I stream on Twitch at the More Perfect Union, on YouTube at the More Perfect Union 4812, and a number of other sites. Come check me out. I'm on Twitch. On X, Twitter, at the Real MPU. Follow me, please. I need the money.
Okay, I'm gonna now throw out a few questions because we did get a few before we finish with the rest of the ending statements because there's more ending statements to do, but shake it up a little bit. Here's one. I thought this was an interesting one. Let me bring it back up here. Here it is. Do any of these folks know where Ilhan Omar was born? You might shed a tear while watching Black Hawk Down, right? Do you wonder why a refugee from Somalia would leave there? I'm going to throw that.
Do you wonder why somebody that escaped that kind of totalitarian bullshit would come here and be a socialist?
Hey, I thought we were doing closing statements.
We're doing both. I'm doing both to milk it, lecture fan.
Nice.
Lecture fan, don't you want me to have soft padding? Don't you want me to have better body armor, lecture fan? You know what, lecture fan? But if do you want to answer the question?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, wrap it up.
To go.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. So we can and we should heal the political divide, and the only way you can do that is the way it's always done, which is one side wins and the other side loses, and that's why conservatives and Americans that believe in our Constitution, that Americans that believe in capitalism and basic notion, free speech, the Second Amendment, gun rights, et cetera, those Americans we must defeat these radical leftist, psychopathic, atheist, anti-America hater scumbags, and that's what we're going to do when we reelect Donald Trump and we reelect Tim Sheehy in Montana to the U.S. Senate and take out that Washington fat cat John Tester, and he's gone forever. That's kind of what I believe. And you guys can find me at Lecture Fan on every single platform: YouTube, X, Twitch, you name it, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Lecture Fan, LCTRFAN. You can see it on screen. I'm the man. Let's go.
Okay, thank you. And recently unbanned. Now we have a question, more statement about Lonerbox from Rabbit Brain, and he seems to be I think he's a Britbonger. Despite Lonerbox being an anti-monarchist, I'm a monarchist for note. He's the most sane person on the panel. Thanks, Dylan, for rebooting Hippy Dippy. Why, thank you. I guess I'll throw it to Loner now.
I think as well as just media literacy, even like basic chronology helps. For example, if you knew about how time works, you would know that inflation spiked in 2022 at 9%. Then the Inflation Reduction Act was passed near the end of the year, and now inflation is down to 3%. That's how time works. You could also go into how Trump's big policy that he got through was basically just tax cuts. You can go or separating families at the border. You can talk about his foreign policy and how he abandoned the Kurds in Syria or in Turkey for no fucking reason. You could talk about Jerusalem, how he moved the embassy there, and then that resulted in riots at Al-Aqsa. By the way, little known fact: if you ask most Palestinians why October 7th happened and why they thought it was justified, it's because of settler riots in Al-Aqsa, because people were emboldened by Trump moving the embassy to Jerusalem. But you can talk about how free speech, even though Trump is the one who's floated multiple times, including this year, the idea of jailing people for burning the flag. You can talk about Fox News and literally all these media organizations who admit that they are lying to Republican voters and being behind the scenes going, I can't believe people believe this shit, but we need to do it because they all otherwise go to Newsmax. At the end of the day, you made a deal with the devil. Trump tried to coup the government. He failed miserably. You don't get let off the hook for trying, though. Lots of coups fail. I think everyone who has followed, and especially after this panel, everyone who has followed Trump to this fucking cliff edge basically deserves to eat their own weight in fucking shit for the next 10 years before they finally come back to reality. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just have,
we're gonna throw it over. We're gonna throw it over to Hake. Hake, have you gone? I don't think you've gone yet.
Right. Thank you, Dylan. And to Lecture Fan's point, if the liberals win, if the communists win, I have already submitted my petition for Dylan Burns to have a little bit of extra mercy on me and hopefully my friends in the gulags, because it's good to, honestly, it's good to try to get along with everybody as far as it depends on you. Obviously don't compromise what you believe, but you have to work with people, and that's what Trump does very well. And so watch yourselves. I think anger is the root issue in most people. Thanks, guys. And you can find me at thehakereport.com. Thehakereport.com.
Hake will be getting an extra fungus ration in the gulag. I appreciate it.
Soylent Green, I think, is what will be served under the Harris administration.
Soylent Green. Open question from Uncle Iroll. What kind of body armor would Dylan get and best bang for his buck? I don't think anybody here can give me that advice. Can anybody here give me that advice? MPU, you're a veteran, aren't you?
I'm a veteran. What was the question again?
What would be the best body armor for me? What do you think?
Oh, you got to do plate. You got to do ceramic armor, man.
Okay, ceramic. That is the right call, actually. Unironically, yeah. Steel, it'll
I was in the Navy. We didn't wear body armor, but I'm not stupid, so
absolutely. Now we're gonna throw it now.
As much as all the guys would think on the panel would like to think I am not smart, I'm actually pretty smart.
No, you seem intelligent, just not in the way that politics.
Compartmentalizing. Some people are good at some things, not so much others.
Yeah, well, I have a real job. I can't walk around with like a cellular backpack filming shit at the DNC.
Hey, I think
To
it's
be fair, I don't
really
do that either. That's Zoomer shit.
We're gonna throw it now over. We're gonna now throw it over to Crenshaw.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Adam Mockler by saying, media literacy is a very big thing. I think also civics literacy is a very big thing. I think, watching Republicans go back to their districts and brag about legislation they refuse to actually support is never not insane to watch. I think that the division can be mended. It should be mended, but the only way it can be mended is for every single person who aided and abetted Donald Trump's insurrection and supported him after to go to prison. I think once that happens and people understand that there is a serious penalty for betraying the Constitution and that it will cost you possibly the rest of your life in prison, I think maybe we'll see a significant improvement in our nation's cohesion. So, yeah.
So basically, if we capitulate to the left, we'll be good.
If you follow the Constitution, you won't spend the rest of your life in prison.
Okay, wait, we're wrapping up. We're on a
You'll never be
tight schedule.
satisfied.
We're on a tight schedule. Tight ship. Jeb-Tan, I gotta go to the bathroom. You wrap us up. I'll be right back, everyone.
Yeah, I'll give myself a self-imposed 2-minute timer. Yeah, I think to bang some drum that I think people are tired of hearing because they don't know what it means is critical thinking, I think, is the key to bridging the divide. Not critical thinking in terms of think and be critical of everything you've ever heard or looked at. Be critical of your own thinking. When you see a news article that gets you really angry at a group of people, analyze, are you angry at that group of people because it's true, or are you angry at that group of people because you've been presented a selection of facts that is designed to make you angry at a group of people? I think there are people on both sides in this conversation who are not critical in that context, and I think at least in political context, it's a really easy not to be critical in that sense. When I came to my sort of diagnosis that the media is the problem, it was a clinical diagnosis. I diagnosed it by treating it, and I treated it by looking at the different conversations I have and which ones are the best. It's the ones where people on both sides of the aisle will openly and proactively call out their own party's mistakes, call out their own media's lies, call out their own media's misinformation, and call out their own emotional biases in the conversation. And that tends to cure the issue, which created a clinical diagnosis of bridging this personal divide, not political divide, because political divides do not need to be mended, but the personal divide needs to be mended by proactively conceding whenever you have the opportunity to. Don't look at concessions as a loss, look at concessions as an opportunity to bridge the gap in a personal conversation, because at the end of the day, none of us are winning or losing an election with the concessions we make in a conversation, but we can win or lose coalitions, friendships, and empathy from the other side if we refuse to make concessions when there's an opportunity to do so. And I've seen a lot of concessions on both sides where there were really great opportunities for very easy concessions to be made, not being made, mostly from my side. So I agree that it is my side's turn right now to play with the wheel of hardcore proactive political division. And the only way to mend that is to pull our hands off the wheel purposefully.
Give in.
And with
let the Democrats take over.
And with that, we have now ended the first debate of the Hippy Dippy Roundtable being back. I hope you all had a decent time, or at least you got something out of it, some experience, whether it be, joy or shame, whatever it was. Thank you so much for coming on. Hope you guys have a great night. And thank you so much for taking the time to come on tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks for hosting, man.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay, guys. What a conversation that was. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Oh, hello, Hake. You're still here. And there he goes. I guess that will be Danabo's job. Man, that was something, huh? We had some twists and turns, didn't we? My goodness.
Good evening.
Twists and turns. Connor, welcome on in. Welcome on in. I gotta ask you two, Connor and Doghouse and Pondering Politics. Pondering Politics used to be on the Hippy Dippy Recruitment Show, which is going to be launching August 25th of this month. You still haven't gotten your fill of debate after tonight. Don't worry, August 25th, it is coming. We're going to have some new up-and-coming Twitch stars. Many people have been groomed by the Hippy Dippy Recruitment Show in a positive way, not in a negative way, as in making stars, not in making twitlongers. And I am excited to show the next generation of icons in the space. But We have Pondering Politics, who's in here, who's blown up, and I'm really happy for his success. Connor, who is back, who helped do a Hippy Dippy Chinese knockoff, which I enjoyed very much. And we have Doghouse Show, who is another another one of my goons, another one of my veteran goons in the stable. What's your guys' immediate reaction to the conversation that we just had in the relaunch of the Hippy Dippy Roundtable?
Beautiful, just like the old days.
You know, there was a quote that I heard, I was thinking of during that entire thing, and it was, I didn't run, I didn't run, I didn't run. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Well,
in this case, in reference to somebody?
It might be. Well, you know, it might. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. That was a very interesting.
What does everybody think about that? I mean, that was like probably one of the, while there was a lot of shocking moments when it comes to just how divided we were. I think the whole debate in of itself was an example of America's political divisions. What did you guys think of that moment? It was certainly a very kind of unexpected.
Hold on. It's like the Undertaker doing like his move though. Like, I don't watch wrestling a lot, but I'm sure that there's like wrestlers with like signature moves. President Sunday has his signature move. So would it be a President Sunday showing if he didn't bust out a signature move? Now, he has gotten away from it in recent times, but maybe he just knew, big show, gotta, you know, earn my rep, gotta hone my reputation, show my finishing move. And that was the screw you all, I'm going home disconnection.
You know,
regrettably, I missed that part. Unfortunately, I was too busy basking in the off and on segments and basking in the brilliance of Rashad Crenshaw, an up and comer who is putting out, number one, fantastic content. Number two, is an excellent debater. But whatever references you all are making, I unfortunately missed apparently the highlight of that particular.
I can talk about it since it felt like I became kind of the center of it. A tiny bit, but what happened was that during the debate, and one of the guests today is a homeless veteran by the name of More Perfect Union on the conservative side, and during the debate, that information was made known, and Sunday, in one of the critiques of what he was saying about the elections, let me say, I didn't really agree with anything More Perfect Union said today. I thought, you know, it's all stuff that I disagree with, like, to the core, but then President Sunday decided that he would, like, go after, in a form of attack, the fact that he was going to be sleeping in a parking lot because he sleeps in a car. And everybody kind of reacted in a kind of like, I could feel the tension in the room. And, you know, I kind of immediately went in. And what my goal was as the moderator, my goal is not to like dictate morality, like you're not allowed to say it unless we get into slur TOS territory. Because if somebody shows who they are through their language, like that's how it's supposed to be. So I made my opinion known quickly because even if I don't like to share my opinion much on the show, if I hear a statement that I want to distance myself from, then I'll distance myself from the statement. And so I said, you know, that's too far for me. I said that out loud, that it was too far for me to President Sunday. And I meant as in for me. And maybe he interpreted that as that's too far for the show. You're not allowed to say it, which I don't like it's being said on my show, but he's allowed to say it. And he then reacted to that by bringing up the old Prime Kai's drama from over, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Then he went after somebody else. Then went after somebody else. And then he ran away. The thing that gets me, though, is I was actually just going to do, all I was saying was, hey, that's too far for me. And so we got to let him respond. All I was going to do is hand it over to MPU and let him respond. And I wasn't even going to like kick him or say you're not allowed to say that. I was just that's too much for me. Obviously, that's a lot what you just said. So MPU has to be able to respond to that. But he didn't let me finish. And so he was already like going after like old stuff because
but I am sure Sunday will catch a certain amount of internal flack from the lefty side for degrading somebody's housing status in a debate. You can attack the ideas. You can even attack the person. You can attack what they look like or something like that. But obviously there's some things that we're going to be sensitive about. And then not just that lefties ostensibly should be sensitive about, like housing status. That should be like one of the, the things. But I wanted to not rebut, but I wanted to comment on something.
I just want to say one last thing though. Go ahead. And before I throw it back to you guys, it's just, for me, it was like, my mother was homeless. And so for me, it was especially too far. And that destitution was one of the things that contributed to her death. And so for me, it was personally too far, but Hippy Dippy is you express yourself however you are, but it's weird to get that type of reaction with somebody who's, has good reason, I think, to not be okay with that type of derivative attack, which I don't think just affects MPU, by the way, even if I disagree with MPU and everything, like there are other homeless people who could be affected by like, haha, you sleep in a car.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people in Twitch and YouTube politics who who come here to socialize and have fun, but are not necessarily always the most mentally or physically or housing stable people on the planet. But I did want to address something that Pondering said. He was mentioning Rashad Crenshaw. So what I love about Hippy Dippy is that it can really expose some of the rawest nerves in a conversation. And one of the things that he poked at, because I think he found it messed up, was he was saying, what did Trump mean by go back to your place of origin or whatever? And there was kind of like a real clamping down on that conversation. And then what ended up happening, which I think is kind of brilliant and exposes the show, is if you were doing an interview, oftentimes people would be like, okay, that's a little much, they're going to back off. But when it's a fight, and it's live, they just own that. And I was just like, that's kind of what Hippy Dippy does, is it makes people own their positions live in public because they don't want to back down because they're in a dogfight. And sorry, real quick.
Wait, I'm sorry, sir. Are you saying that Hippy Dippy brings out the worst in people? Is that what you're trying to tell Dylan?
It brings out the most abrasive and aggressive in people, which you can view as a virtue or a vice. But the thing is, I would have bitten down on that bullet too. I would have been like I would have at least articulated it descriptively, if not said it was a positive thing. I would have said Trump probably means that America is a wealthy, powerful, rich nation that you can criticize many of its flaws, but it's doing a lot of things right. The people who are its most ardent critics tend to be people who have come here recently. I think that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I know she's from Brooklyn, but I think her family is from Puerto Rico. I think Ilhan Omar, her parents are from Somalia. And so that comment of like, well, you just came from basically an anarchic, destitute, economically deprived S-hole, I think is, what Trump ostensibly called it. Who are you to tell us how to live? I think that is a real feeling that conservatives have.
Yeah, and I want to hit on this too, is something that I saw Rashad do that I thought was fantastic is he kept his composure. I was telling my chat this, is that when you're in these debates, how you are rhetorical, how rhetorical you are comes off to the audience in a certain way. And More Perfect Union losing his cool came off as very uncomposed and not able to get his point across without getting that frustration out. So I feel like Rashad won on that. He just looked better. More Perfect Union had to eat those words.
I hated it.
And I was very surprised at how much we were going back to old talking points. I heard very little in terms of some of the more recent things. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I got to the point of where I figured out which candidate would be worse for democracy. To be honest with you, that's where I kind of left off. I said, man, where were we? We're talking about.
I mean, this is where I pity the Trump defenders here, just because by virtue of the facts, they have the steeper hill to climb, trying to make the case that Trump is better for democracy than really any alternative. I mean, it's interesting too. Connor points out that this feeling that obviously a lot of people have, particularly on the right, and I would say some in the center as well. This idea of how do you express your critique for America? I think Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire recently said that, Democrats really don't love America because they want to change so much about America. They want to fundamentally change it. And he said, if you tell your wife you love her, but you want to change everything about her, do you really love her? And of course, as somebody on the left, I think it's categorically ridiculous because America's not your spouse. It's your home. So let's use that metaphor, right? You've got a fucking house that you love. You've lived in it for 14, 15 years, and the roof is caving in or the foundation is unstable. What do? You fix it. You don't ignore it. You don't pretend, even if it's fundamental structural changes. And so it's interesting to see kind of the flip side of that.
Perfect foundation. Don't worry about it.
It's perfect. Everything's great. You just ignore that puddle right there.
But listen, I want to.
Yeah.
There was a rhetorical issue though that I think that Jeb Tan was my spirit animal in this debate, at least for the parts that I caught, was he was still articulating conservative viewpoints, but he was also trying to realize that like we are in this together. I want to, at least rhetorically, if not on policy, I want to reach out an olive branch to the other side. But what was so funny, because like I could feel his frustration when he heard it, was he was extending those olive branches and those conversations and all that kind of stuff, and then Hake in like Usher fan came in right behind him, and they're like, "No compromise!" Boom, and they hit him in the back with the steel chair, and that's just perfectly that's exactly how it feels.
I talked to Jeb Tam before this, and I was like, "Good luck reeling it in, buddy. Good luck reeling." I was like giving him like, I was like, "Take out the pads, come on, man. You better be ready."
That's the feeling. No, but that's the feeling of like a moderate Republican or a good faith conservative. You could have like really far right-wing points, but you're trying to negotiate with the other side in order to find something that fulfills both of your principles. And then just out of nowhere, once somebody on your team just comes up and just hits you in the back of the head with a flying elbow, and you're just like, wow, I can't believe I wasted 3 hours of my life just to get stabbed in the back. But you know, that's the game.
At the end of the day, that President Sunday did run. Just want to make that note, okay?
Oof. And with that, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys. See you guys later. And everybody who's watching, you got to go to DylanBurns.tv, watch on my website, or Dylan Burns Live on YouTube. Bye-bye, everybody.